Before you buy another program, chase another idea, or say yes to something new, I want you to listen to this episode of Success Through Connections because I'm going to share with you 10 habits that if you follow them, it's going to make your life a lot easier in 2026. It's going to save you time, it's going to save you money, but most of all, it's going to save you a lot of stress. So let's jump in. I'm Zelda Greenberg, your host of Success Through Connections, and also the co owner and co founder of Legacy Realty Group North Florida, where we help you buy, sell, and also manage properties. We are property management as well. So that is my background. And let's just dive into these 10 awesome habits that you want to create for 2026. Let's start with slowing down. I hear a lot of times everywhere it's like, think big, dream big. Well, there's nothing wrong with dreaming big and thinking big. But if you go too quickly, it's going to crash. So slow down. You may have big ideas and you may have big dreams, but I'm going to say slow down. By that, I mean, maybe your calendar is loaded with meetings, and those are the things, are those really necessary meetings? Clear the calendar up. Have some time for what I call thinking time. I actually have it on my calendar on certain days. I'm going to do so much of the sticks and so much work, but I also have thinking time on my calendar for me to think about some of the things that I'm considering. So that's number one, slow down. You can have the big picture, but slow down. That was something I really made a big mistake in 2025, trying to accomplish too much stuff, dreaming way bigger, and trying to accomplish all those big dreams in 1 year. It was just not a good thing. Number two is something that I think I'm pretty good at, and a lot of people aren't, and that's delegate. You have to know what things you're good at, and even though you may be good at everything, what can you delegate? That also buys you more time to slow down. So by delegating, what I like to do, and I use ChatGPT to help me with it, is I will put in the prompt, here are all the tasks that I need to do for the week or the month or the quarter or whatever it is. I put it all into the system, and chat knows me well enough that I will say in my prompt, what are the tasks, or I'll list all the tasks. What are the tasks that I can do and what are the ones that I should outsource? And I outsource. I have graphic designers and I have a podcast production manager and all kinds of different people to help me. And that way I can delegate and I have more time for myself and more time to execute the things that I'm really good at executing. So that's number two, is to delegate. Number three is shiny objects. It's taking those shiny objects and avoiding them. And here's where I fall short. When I start hitting a slump, that's when I start looking for all the little shiny objects instead of doubling down. So you have to learn to avoid those shiny objects. So let's talk about shiny objects for just a second. So some of them are good things to have and some of them are not. But what I like to do is, or what I've noticed that I do is when things just aren't progressing fast enough, or things aren't going, well, really, they're just not going fast enough for me. That's when I start looking for the shiny objects to help me. And that's when I get into trouble. Do you do that too? I mean, I'll start looking for a new system or maybe a new coach or a consultant, a new platform to try. I'll just start looking at all these different things, and that's not a good thing to do. So everything doesn't have to be replaced. Sometimes you just have to go back to slowing down. Okay. Remember that one? That was number one, slowing down. So just because you get rid of a shiny object or a program or a coach or something like that doesn't mean you have to replace it with another coach, consultant, platform, or whatever. It just means that one is no longer going to work for you. So avoid some shiny objects when you can. The next one, number four, is tracking. Now, I got really good at this last year. So I track those analytics, put those analytics on your websites and different things and look for those numbers. So I realized that I was tracking every week. On Fridays, I would look at all the analytics on my websites and see what that was doing, check the podcast out, see what that was doing. And I was very meticulous about seeing those numbers, how many subscribers, how many open rates. And while those numbers are important, I also discovered that some of those numbers weren't quite so important. So I basically stopped following the analytics so religiously because it caused me too much stress. So instead, I just started following them every month. So I would look at the monthlies. So track your analytics, but don't let it make you crazy. Okay? That's just not good. It's just not good. Now here's one, wondering how many of you have this habit that you're always looking for perfection. I'm not that way. Thank goodness. Because nobody's perfect, it doesn't exist. So what happens is while you're trying to make everything perfect, guess what? Your competition has already figured out things and they're already ahead of you. So you can tweak things as you move along. You know, this isn't working, this is working, this word is wrong. I need to change the word, I need to change the graphic, or whatever it is. I need to change my proposal. Whatever it is, I'm saying launch what you have, even when it's messy, and you can tweak it along the way. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now, I'm not saying start at the very beginning and start posting everything, but during the process, you can tweak things. Things don't have to be perfect. Okay, so let's make that perfectly clear. Number 6 is say no. I know we all want to say yes to everything, and you end up putting so much on your plate that there's no way you can do it effectively. I started saying no to be on other podcasts sometimes because it didn't really align with me. And also, there's a local TV channel that always wants to interview business people and owners. And they have hounded me to death to be on their 5-minute show. And that just doesn't align with me and what I want to accomplish because if all you want from me is 5 minutes and that's all they give you, then that's not doing my company or my clients any justice because how are you going to get into anything in depth in 5 minutes? What, I'm going to give my elevator pitch? I don't think so. I'd rather give value to the people who are listening to me than just to be getting my name out there. That serves no purpose to anybody. And so it also fills up your calendar and you become exhausted. And that is the one thing, that's one habit I'm going to make sure that I don't do this year. And that is drive myself to exhaustion, which is what I did last year. I'm not doing that anymore. So that's number 6 is learn to say no. If it doesn't align with you and your vision, you have the right to say no. Don't overwhelm yourself. Remember, number 1, slow down. Okay, number 7 is screen hide and seek. That's what I call it. Screen time, hide and seek. Now, we've all been hearing that relationships matter, and they do. And by hide and seek with the screen time, it's very easy to put out a persona of who you are, etc., on Facebook, on social media, but there's nothing quite like a face to face meeting. That's where you really can build those connections and you can really build those relationships. And as you know, if you've been listening to my podcast long enough, you know that I end every single one with the phrase, which is so important, which is connections are the new currency. And they are. It's like if you want to build authentic, real relationships, real connections, you have to do it face to face. It doesn't have to be every day. You don't have to go to every single networking event. I was going to so much networking events. I just had to say no. Remember that one? Say no. I've learned to say no. It's like if I can't offer value or if they can't offer value, if there's not a two-way street, I'm not going there. But I will have face-to-face meetings that I call on my own. In fact, it's one of the things when I do speak to organizations, I talk about creating your own events. I create my own events and invite people in to come to my events and get to know them that way. So, face to face is how you really build relationships. So, get out from behind the screen, quit playing hide and seek, and get out there and build some authentic relationships. And that would be number 7. So what is number 8? Well, that's called self-invest. Ooh, I like that one. Self-invest. That means that you're going to read books. You're going to go to your industry conferences. You're going to learn. You're going to continue to learn. You don't ever stop learning. Otherwise, you're going to stop growing if you stop learning. So I said this years ago in my first book called The Art of Bouncing Back. I talked about you go to conferences, you self-invest, you invest in your future by saving some money because you just never know. That rainy day does happen. So, in other words, don't stop growing, keep investing in yourself. Listen to motivational speakers if you need the motivation. Listen to seasoned entrepreneurs on in the industry that you're in because you can always learn from someone else. I always say if you can take away one little nugget, you're ahead of the game. So do that. I remembered years ago, and this was before COVID, I attended a real estate conference and the speaker was talking about Canva. But she also mentioned, kind of as a sidebar, she mentioned the word Chat GPT. Now, this was before Chat GPT or any AI had blown up or was anything. But I remember hearing her talk about it just a little bit, and I thought, that's interesting. And I remember writing on the notes, Chat GPT. And when I went home, I looked it up and I signed up and I started playing around with it. And this was, I don't know, like I said, it was when it first started and nobody was using it. Nobody knew what it was, but I picked up on it. So I was self-investing way back then in something that, hey, I got lucky and it became something of the future. So don't stop learning. You never know what little nugget you're gonna pick up from going to a conference. I picked up that nugget and it ended up not being a nugget, it ended up being a boulder. So, there you have it. Go to those conferences. Okay, let's move on to number 9. Number 9 is what I call extinct. Don't become extinct. And what do I mean by that? So what do I mean by don't become extinct? Okay, be visible again. Be visible. Get out there and network with people you know. Go to parties and birthdays and whatever events are out there and get to know people. If out of sight, out of mind. And that's just the way the world is. If you are not around, they are not going to be that they're not going to remember you. So, and you can do all the emails you want, you have to be visible. So again, that goes back to just, being out there and showing your face. So every now and then, get out there and network with people. So that's all there is to that. Be visible. And number 10, the number 10 one is fatigue. You don't want fatigue. Boy, I tell you, come last November, I was exhausted. And that's when I realized I needed to start practicing some of these habits. So, because you know what happens when you get fatigued? You get burnout. And boy, I was getting close to burnout. I had to talk to one of my coaches about it, and it was just, she got me back on track. But fatigue, you have to let go of things that are no longer working for you because they will zap your energy. You just have to. You have to get rid of the things that aren't working. You have to learn to say no. You have to stop looking for the perfection and all these other things that we're talking to because you have to take time to rest. And I know that when you work for yourself, it's hard, especially if you are in a home office, because many of us work remotely from our homes. And so we wake up in the morning and we start working, or we work until we don't want to work anymore, or whatever, till the job is done. And that could be at night. There's no clocking in and clocking out. So you have to schedule thinking time. And I actually have it on my calendar that on certain days of the week, this is what I'm doing in the morning and this is what I'm doing in the afternoon. And in the afternoon, it says thinking. And that's when I'm reassessing maybe some of the platforms and systems I'm using. Maybe it's my newsletter that I'm evaluating, but I'm actually not doing actually physical going out there and showing a house, or I'm not writing up contracts. I'm not doing my newsletter, like I said. I'm not sending out mail or handwriting notes. I'm not doing anything. I'm thinking, not sitting in front of Netflix. I'm thinking. So that is a really good one. It's don't get fatigued because it will lead to burnout. Have yourself what I call CEO thinking days. And those are the 10 habits. I can review them. One is slow down. Number two was delegate. Three is no more shiny objects. Four is track. Track your analytics, but don't overdo it. Number five is forget perfection. It doesn't exist. Number six is say no more often. Seven is quit playing hide and seek. Get out there. And number seven, that was number seven. Number eight is self invest. And I didn't do a lot of that last year. That's why I'm doing more of it this year. Number nine is don't become extinct. Let people see you, be visible. And number 10 is fatigue. Remember, fatigue leads to burnout, and that we need you. So don't let that happen. So, those are the 10 habits that if you can address them and implement them into your life this year, you're going to be a lot happier. You're going to have a lot less stress and you'll have a lot more time on your hands. So, those are the habits that I wanted to share with you today. And remember that I am a realtor. So, if you know someone who wants to buy or sell real estate or they need a property manager, I'm Zelda Greenberg, and I'm here to help you anywhere in the US. And I don't drop the ball because I stay ahead of it. So, subscribe to this channel and remember that connections are the currency. They really are. Connections are your power moves. So, until next week, I'm Zelda Greenberg with Success Through Connections. I'll see you then.